I thought I'd share a neat little thing I've picked up on the way and learned through all the studying here is why Moses didn't make it into the promised land. And most of y'all probably know the story, right? But it's deeper than that. So obviously the reason he didn't make it into the promised land was because he struck the rock twice, right? We know that he was commanded the first time to strike that rock, which the rock represented Yeshua. It's where the life-giving waters flowed out. He struck it once. Life-giving waters flowed out. He was commanded the second time to speak to the rock. But because Moses was aggravated and agitated with the people, he took his anger out on the rock and struck it twice. And the Father was not happy. So he wasn't allowed to make it into the promised land. Now, the deeper part to this is God was actually showing you the royal law. He was giving you an image of the royal law of Leviticus 19:15 through 18 in that story. So the royal law is your communication. It's rebuking sin. It's preaching the gospel, the true refreshed holy covenant, right? And rebuking sin, because he prefers mercy, not sacrifice, right? The knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. He didn't want the sacrificial law. And so now we rebuke instead of stone you. Because right now, if we were still under the sacrificial law, every one of us would be dead. Because we've all broken the commandment. We've all worshipped pagan idolatry in the form of Christmas and Easter and Halloween and all the rest of this stuff. So the thing about striking the rock twice is the Messiah had to be crucified once. And Hebrews 10 tells you if you willingly sin after coming to the knowledge, there's now no more sacrifice. How it even says, how can you sacrifice the Messiah again? He can't be sacrificed and put on a cross again, once and for all. So when Moses was told to strike the rock the first time, it was a representation of the Messiah being crucified. And he told him to speak to it the second time. Because when Yeshua came, he came to magnify and make honorable the law. And that's the royal law. And what he did with the commandments. And so now we speak instead of stone. And so what Moses was doing was kind of like, almost in a sense, he was sacrificing the Messiah twice, striking him twice. You can't do that. So he didn't get to make it into the promised land. And it's like a representation almost, even I think, of like going back to the sacrificial law. Right? This is like what the whole Torah community pushes. The Torah community pushes that we're still under sacrificial law. But that one instance right there shows you that's not what he wanted, and that's not what we're under. Because if we were still under the sacrificial law, he would have told him to strike the rock twice. Like, again, it's the royal law. It's our communication. It's rebuking the sin with our mouth instead of throwing a stone at you. It's mercy. He prefers mercy. Mercy is an idiom for the 10 Commandments. All throughout Scripture. Now, there's different definitions of mercy, but for the most part, when it's talking about mercy, it's talking about the 10 Commandments. He prefers you to obey the 10 Commandments instead of the sacrificial law, which is what he wanted at Mount Horeb. He gave them the 10 and added no more. Deuteronomy 5. So that was his original intention. So that whole striking the rock twice thing was a representation of what was coming and what what was desired, right? He desired us just to keep each other in check and fulfill the royal law. So I just kind of thought that was a neat little analogy the Father used there. And, you know, like, you almost have to think, okay, so I wonder if that was intentional. You know, Moses, I don't know if, I doubt Moses knew that was going to happen, but I find it very interesting that story just happened to play out the way it did to represent exactly what is going on, you know, almost kind of like hardening Pharaoh's heart to accomplish his purposes. So what if he made Moses do that? Like, I don't know. Just find it kind of interesting. Anyways, so yeah.